Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to another Wednesday night live stream. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers, joined by the man, the myth, the legend, lifetime Longhorn Bobby Burton, and the young prodigy, lifetime Longhorn CJ Vogel. We're here to answer all your questions, address all of your comments as it relates to Texas football. The availability report coming out tonight, so we'll hit that first and foremost, see what Longhorns find themselves on that availability report, what Vanderbilt players find themselves on that availability report. We'll talk about the matchup coming up this weekend with the Vanderbilt Commodores. One of the big surprise stories in all of college football, ladies and gentlemen. Big. I mean, there are a lot of Diego Pavia fans out there, and I'm not gonna lie, the more I watch him, I'm kind of a Diego Pavia fan too, man. It's hard not to be a fan of the young man when you watch him play. So we'll talk about all that. We've been breaking it down. My man CJ has got some nice nuggets for you about Texas and their upcoming matchup with Vanderbilt. We'll also talk a little recruiting. All right, we got some recruiting nuggets. If you got some recruiting questions, throw those out there. You know how it works. Super chats, jump to the front of the line. You can interrupt the show at any time, and of course, anything that's Longhorn football related, we can discuss. Speaking of, not just football related, Texas volleyball in action right now, facing the Texas A&M Aggies, and I hear it is a heated competition right now. So we'll keep you updated. Oh, there you go, my man Matthew. Okay. Oh, man, Matthew already keeps it. Thank you very much, Matthew. There you go. Got the Aggies right now up 18-16 in that first set. So we'll try to keep you updated with that. We know that is a hot topic for Longhorn fans as well. Anytime you're playing the Aggies, but that's going to be a hot topic of conversation. But let's get right to it, gentlemen. First off, Bobby, how you doing? How you feeling about this week after first loss of the season to Georgia? Now, Wednesday, moving on, getting over the hump, headed downhill to the weekend to face your next opponent. How you feeling now that you've gotten a chance to check out Vanderbilt a little bit and process what happened this last weekend versus Georgia?
I think like a lot of Texas fans, I think I was a little stunned by what happened Saturday. I did not expect Quinn to look poor 2 weeks in a row. In retrospect, maybe I should have, given that Georgia's a little bit different animal on defense than even OU.
Yeah, they are.
CJ talked about it at one point, how he kind of hadn't really counted on Michael Williams being part of their pass rush equation, and what role that played. I don't know. I mean, I was a little stunned after the game. I think a lot of Texas fans were, because I think that a lot of us were expecting a better effort, particularly from the offense. Texas had forced 3 turnovers for Georgia, and still they lost by 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
And so I feel like we're going to find out this weekend what Texas is made of. We talked to Tony Hills this morning on Coffee and Football, Rod, and it's something you've mentioned before as well. And that's, how does a team bounce back from adversity? You guys, when you were playing, you lost to OU just about every year.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So it was all about how do you bounce back after that. If you remember last year, Texas lost to OU and then had a bye week and then went to go play Houston at Houston.
Ooh.
And had a really good first quarter and then went flat for the rest of the way.
Yep.
And so my thought process is, okay, is this going to look like that, or is this team adulting right now?
I like that.
You know what I mean? Are they able to process that and keep it separate and move forward? And so that's kind of where my brain is at right now. A little stunned on Saturday, but realizing that they've got work to do ahead of them and where this team is. And frankly, Quinn Ewers being a third-year starter should help in Nashville.
I like that, Lando. I hope they play angry, like they got something to prove. Yeah, anytime you get, and they didn't play to the standard, so I'm not going to say today, but I've been embarrassed before in a big game. You remember that 2000 Texas OU game, Bobby? I remember being embarrassed on national television and, being ashamed the way I performed for the name on the front of the jersey and the name on the back of the jersey. So there's no doubt about that, man. These guys, like I said, I'm not going to say they were embarrassed. I don't know how they felt losing to Georgia, but I know they didn't play to the standard. And I know these guys, you can make the argument for the last, 3 weeks, maybe since they started SEC play, they have not yet played to the standard, right? I mean, Mississippi State, I'm not sure they played to the standard there. In Oklahoma, getting the win, but not playing to the standard. And I think that's what they want to try to get focused on. So just back to basics. This team has got greatness. All right. They got the potential to be great. All right. They do have that ability. They were just number one in the country. Now you got to kind of get back to the basics. There are a few things you got to correct. There are a few things that you need to rectify. When the team does that, that's what it's about. That's the journey. The journey of the season is to get better every week. If you don't get better every week, which you can make the argument, and that's every player and the team that say Quinn Ewers, right? Quinn's that's the struggle he's going with right now. Can he get better, right? Week to week. And that is the struggle for all the players week to week to try to continue to improve. And if you do that, you'll look up at the end of the season and you'll be closer to your goal than you even, realized. But it's a grind, and I think that's what Texas got to get back to. CJ, your thoughts before we get into some of these super chats. First of all, we're going to hit the availability report, but I want to get CJ's thoughts heading into the Texas Vanderbilt weekend, processing what happened versus Georgia. Where are you at now on this team?
Yeah, I mean, the more I watched that game, I mean, it was ugly for Quinn. It was ugly for the offensive line, but you start looking in the back end of it. I thought Georgia just played a really, well-connected defensive approach to that game. Quinn missed some throws. Quinn held onto the football. Yes, all can be true, right? A lot of that in my eyes were because that Georgia defense was in sync. They didn't have any busts, really. The one bust that did occur was on a double move to DeAndre Moore, and I don't think Quinn looked his way. Again, you can point to Quinn on that. He checked down. He got I believe that pass was actually dropped, but you see where I'm going here, right? He was finding what he thought was going to be, positive yards. It just didn't work out his way. Fortunately, again, I don't think Texas plays a defense with the level of talent at all three levels as that Georgia defense. However, to win a national championship, to win an SEC championship, you're probably going to have to beat Georgia again or face a defense of that caliber. And if that's the case, Texas absolutely has to play better. And again, I look at it with Quinn specifically because what was the theme coming out of Ann Arbor? Wow, Quinn just led Texas over a big-time road win over the defending national champs with a great, talented defense. That's what it was. He looked great. He hasn't looked that same Quinn since the injury, and against the Vanderbilt. And Vanderbilt's been good, but that defense you can still score on. Yep. This needs to be a game where the offense finds its rhythm, and we see Quinn from the first 3 weeks of the season prior to that oblique.
Yep. I'm with you on that. I totally agree with you. All right, before we hit the availability report, we know how it goes. Super chats. We respect the super chats. Thank you, guys. So we'll hit Juan here first. Juan Garza. Thank you, Juan. Says Bobby or Jerry. So we'll throw it to Bobby because Jerry's not on right now, and Bobby's sitting in for Jerry, so we appreciate it. Do you think Arch is better suited for Sark offense than Quinn? What kind of offense did Quinn run in high school? Any news in this week practices with Quinn? Thank you very much, Juan, for the super chat. We appreciate that. Bobby, I'll let you start off first. A lot to unpack there. So first of all, do you think Arch is better suited for Sark's offense than Quinn? And then in high school, I'm not sure what kind of offense did Quinn run in high school.
He ran spread with a lot of 10 personnel, actually.
Okay.
So he literally, and he was accustomed to taking 5 and 7 yard drops essentially from shotgun.
Wow.
So he would stay back there. No, not from shotgun, but he'd take shotgun and take.
Yeah.
So my point being, like he was hanging out in the end zone on that Kelvin Banks near the one they spotted Kelvin Banks on. That's how he kind of played in high school. He played in that type of pocket where he hung out back there, and he didn't really step up because he didn't have to in high school. There weren't those talented guys coming after him. My point on this is I definitely think Arch fits Sark's offense better. He's more of a strong arm guy that can hit tight windows, has probably a better downfield arm, a little bit more mobility. But, it's not like Quinn is a square peg in a round hole. You know what I mean? They both can fit it. I do think Arch, because of his heavy play action ability, is going to fit it really, really well. As far as Quinn in practice this week, everything, I think I've been told he's taken every first string rep. CJ, have you heard anything separate from that? Just to double check.
Very similar.
Yeah. So that's where it's at. Nothing more than that. I will say that they said Quinn had a good week of practice last week.
Yeah.
As well, though. So news from practice can be, double-sided, not necessarily
I guess that's the question, right? Is that the things that we see in the game, some of the struggles and the signs of, regression, do they see that in practice? Are they observing that in practice? Or is it something that really, comes to materializes in the game when you're going up against, an opponent with a game plan, things of that nature. So we'll see. I'm with you. I think CJ's right, though. This is a big week for Quinn and for the offense. You need to see real progression. You see real advancement and growth from that offense this week against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt does not pose a defensive threat. This is no Oklahoma. This is not Georgia. If they can't find their rhythm versus Vanderbilt, then it's time to be concerned. Maybe there's a bigger issue at play here. All right. Thank you guys for the super chat. Thank you, Juan. Appreciate that. Let's get to the availability report, please, Matthew. If you don't mind, would you throw that up there for the folks? The availability report comes out on Wednesdays. We'd like to bring it to you. Here's the Longhorn availability report for the Texas Vanderbilt weekend. You got Derek Williams Jr. We already know he's out. CJ Baxter out. Christian Clark out. Belton Gardner. Those guys have been out for a while. But then you've got Andrew McCuba, who's doubtful, but even Sark reiterated earlier this week that he does not expect Andrew McCuba to play. So that was from Sark, but he is doubtful on this injury report. And then Isaiah Bond, questionable. He did play last game. I felt like, CJ, he was toward the end of the game, I felt like they were like being very, very careful with his reps. It almost felt like Wingo was starting to get those Bond reps. Maybe it's because of what we see here on the injury report.
Yeah, I think he only had about 45 snaps, which out of the 80 Texas ran, not necessarily what we've seen from Isaiah Bond so far this year. Of course, he was hobbled with an ankle and still is, as we can tell by the injury report here, listed as questionable. He suffered against Oklahoma there. Only 2 receptions. One of them went for a touchdown, and he caught the 2-point conversion right after that. So when he needed to go, he could. But could he go for the duration of all those snaps? Obviously not. And that's kind of where Texas is at least monitoring his status moving forward for this weekend. You'd like to have Isaiah Bond on this field for Quinn to find some rhythm back with him. He's going to be a big part of that offense down the stretch, of course. But right now, you got to think long term. How much of him will we actually see on Saturday? I think that's up in the air, but we'll see as the injury and availability reports continue to progress later on this week.
And then Trey Wisner, probable on this injury report here.
It's a good sign.
That is a good sign. Usually probable advances to, being playing or being available, or they are off the injury report altogether. So that's a good sign for Trey Wisner. Running back room needs it. Let's talk about that really quickly, guys. And in fact, since we're talking about injuries, let's jump to Vanderbilt side. I did see, saw Clark Lee, one of his media availabilities. He did point out that Langston Patterson and Miles Capers, these are 2 defensive starters for them that actually have been out. And thank you very much, Matthew, for putting this up. So they've been out for the last couple of weeks. You see Langston Patterson there is questionable, is there. And Miles Capers is questionable as well, the edge rusher. They expect those 2 guys to play. At least that's what Clark Lee implied during his media availability. But here you see Zaylen Wood, defensive lineman, out. Mark Davis, cornerback, out. Grayson Morgan, offensive lineman, out. And then the rest of these guys are questionable. Eli Stowers is their leading receiver right now at the tight end position. Langston Patterson, just talked about him, the linebacker. He was actually their leading tackler last year. I think he's 3rd on tackles right now on the team. So he's one of those. He's a dude for him. AJ Newberry, running back. Martell Height at cornerback. Cedric Alexander, the Austin product, who's their starting running back. He's questionable. Something tells me, though, playing University of Texas, ain't no way they're going to be able to keep Cedric Alexander off the field, or he's off that sideline. I think that's going to be tough to do. I just mentioned Miles Capers, and then Linus Zunk, defensive lineman, also questionable. Something tells me, guys, that more than half of these questionable guys, if not more than probably most of them, will be playing in that Texas game. I just feel like I feel like this team and their personality. This is they kind of take on the personality of the leaders on this team. Diego Pavia being one of them, and Coach Clark Lee being one of them. It's about toughness. It's about grit. All right, these guys are, they're a real feisty bunch, and I think ultimately you'll get. That's why the 2 guys I mentioned, those 2 starters, they're really excited. I've been on some, message boards and behind the scenes and Vanderbilt sites. It ain't many of them, but they are excited. They say they're gonna get their 2 starters back on defense. So I think a lot of these guys are pumped up about this Texas game. They want to try to pull another upset. They're not satisfied with just beating Bama as the biggest upset win in program history. They want another one. They ain't gonna get it, but they want another.
Yeah, I mean, they were the talk of college football, right?
Yeah.
You see the goalposts run down Broadway Street, right down Bobby's house, basically, and the entire football world stopped and watched. And for most of the college football world outside of Tuscaloosa, they were celebrating because I don't think anything ever like that has happened, SEC-wise at least. I think Texas fans might argue a little bit in that regard. But no, this is going to be a game where, Rod, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, half these guys are going to be playing, right? Eli Stowers, Langston Patterson, Cedric Alexander, Miles Capers. These guys are all integral parts of this Vanderbilt team. I would be shocked if you didn't see the majority of those guys on the field this Saturday.
Yeah, totally agree. And I forget about Bobby's connection to Vanderbilt. I forget that, Bobby, you should be able to give us give us a gauge on how the excitement there in that Nashville community because of Vanderbilt, right? This is like the one of the peaks of the program.
Nashville is not a Vandy. Nashville is not a Vandy town, just like Rice is not a Houston town. Or Houston is not a town.
Okay,
I mean, it's going to be clear. I mean, the big teams. 26-25 Texas match right now. We'll see how that goes. That's only set one, so we'll check in on these every so often. What I was going to say to y'all is neither one of them are. It's more the academic school. They have a medical center in Nashville as well. That's pretty big. The big deal for me is in the state of or in Nashville is you have Alabama, Tennessee, Auburn, Georgia, pretty much in that order. Then you have Ole Miss and Kentucky. Those are the big teams. It's not Vanderbilt, and that's why Vanderbilt, they're a great school and all that stuff, but a lot of their alumni, kind of like Rice, they end up going to other places around the country. Yeah. They kind of disperse after school. So that's the way it is. It will be. Look, Texas is going to be coming from Austin, and there will be more Texas fans in the stadium on Saturday than Vanderbilt fans.
Wow.
That's my opinion. Yeah.
Don says, I looked at the Vandy Stadium on Google Maps. They don't have a whole stadium. Last I heard, they have no goalposts kicking Bert Auburn out of range. I think they got the goalposts back. I'm sure they got some booster one to fit the bill for the goalposts. All right. Thank you very much. We'll get to the questions here. We also got some other topics we're going to bring up. But first, let me thank one of our sponsors for our Wednesday night live stream, Andy Ludicky. If you're looking to diversify, you may be someone like me that has their hands in multiple businesses. Well, Andy can help you diversify by finding you businesses that will fit your time allotment and your financial goals. You can give him a call today, or you can actually reach out to him via email at andy@myperfectfranchise.net. If you're stuck in the corporate rat race with 2 weeks PTO and no control over the money that you can make or your schedule in general, call Andy. He will take you through a process to help you find a business that will fit your skill sets and your financial goals. Franchise ownership isn't for everyone, but if you have a desire to take control of your financial destiny, then you need to reach out to Andy today. Give him a call, 404-973-9901, or you can email him at andy@myperfectfranchise.net. And thank you very much to Andy Ludicky and his team for sponsoring our team here on Texas football. We really appreciate him. All right, let's get right to a couple of questions here.
Wait. There's an announcement to be had.
Go ahead.
University of Texas has won the first set over the dreaded Aggies, 27-25. There we go, women.
Nice.
Up 27-25. They won the first, finished on a 3-0 scoring run, which means they fought off a set point by the Aggies. Good stuff.
That was stuff.
I think it was 3-1 in College Station earlier this year. Is that accurate, CJ? Do you remember that?
I don't know off the top of my head. I just know that they've been on a roll. I believe 9 straight match victories. So, this is a hot Texas team right now.
There you go. I like that. Anytime you whip it up on the Aggies, that's good news. So feel free to break that news anytime, Bob. We appreciate that. 817, Mr. Talk Too Much. We appreciate you and your question. It says, I like this one. Are we getting behind our QB yet, or is it still a mutiny going on?
I'm behind whoever called. Dude, aren't you, Rod? This is my take on this, and this has happened more than once at Texas.
Oh
whoever
yeah,
the quarterback is.
Yes,
I mean, whoever the quarterback is, I'm behind him. I mean, I don't, whoever goes out there on that field, whether it's Quinn, Arch, or Steve Sarkisian himself. I mean, I don't care. That's what I would tell everybody. But I know some fans want to segment off into factions. Almost like it's a political deal. For me, it's not. For me, I just want to win. And so whoever the head coach thinks needs to be out there is the one that needs to be out there, in my opinion.
Yeah, I saw it on Twitter earlier. I tweeted I was still part of Quinanon, part of the funny spin-off right there. And I had a couple folks respond saying they were a part of Arch Tifa. So
come on.
There you go. So it's a fun back and forth there. Regardless, to your point, Bobby, whoever leads Texas to a victory here is going to help unite the realm again.
Wow.
That's what we really want, CJ. I mean, look, if you're a true Texas fan, you don't care. Right? I mean, it's not, sure, you can like one quarterback or another, but it's not a him versus them. I mean, it's all for one. I agree with you is all I would say to that.
No.
Never thought about Arch Tifa, by the way.
Wow. I mean, my mind blown with that one, man. Arch.
It's Quinanon versus Arch Tifa.
But you're right, though, Bobby. It seems like the political climate is starting to bleed over into our conversations and discourse into sports a little bit. And like people want to get their allegiances. They want to pick sides really quickly here. And I'm with you in the locker room. Trust me, I've been a part of one of these things. And ultimately in the locker room, yes, there are different opinions about who gives us the best chance to win. But that's what it's about, though. Like ultimately, that's what everybody wants, to win. And when one quarterback goes in there and proves that they are the best option to give you the win and the dub, everybody falls in line. Everybody falls in line because everybody wants to win. Nobody really cares. Once the one quarterback starts winning, all the discussion and the controversy cease. And for Texas, you just lost the Georgia game. But if there is a quarterback controversy, and you could argue in some circles there is, it may not be in our circle, but there are some circles out there. We're part of Sarkism.
Sarkism. Instead of Marxism.
I like that. Sarkism. That's good. That's good. Now, these terms are getting way too political. I don't like them at all. I'm uncomfortable. But if there is a quarterback controversy in certain circles in the Longhorn community, and that's fine, by the way. That's perfectly fine. You're entitled to your own opinion, and you're entitled to have your discourse, whatever it is. Just trust in the Lord. I like that.
What a cold Lord. Yeah.
The Lord.
Four string quarterback, cold Lord.
But ultimately,
we need something for Trey Owens next.
Now, come on, keep them coming. But ultimately, like I said, that's all people care about. I'm with you, Bobby. That and if Quinn plays well, and you get the win, and then all the quarterback controversy stuff will cease. The only person that I live in Sarkopolis. You guys are out of control. But ultimately, the only person that can kill the quarterback controversy is Quinn. He's the only one that can do it. Sark can't do it. Sark tried to do it, but Sark's already opened the door. Once you brought Arch in, you opened the door. Like they say in the courtroom, now all the inadmissible evidence can come in to play. You open the door. And so now all the conversation, whether it's warranted or not about Arch, people are going to have it. And I think ultimately for Quinn, if Quinn goes out there and plays well versus Vandy, quarterback controversy is done. I'm a Rod publican. Well done. I like that. Yes. Keep him coming. Bobby does not like this political crossover happening here. He's not happy with it at all.
Man, this is good.
My point is Quinn can kill the controversy, and I hope he does. Versus
I agree.
Go kill it. Because you remember the Chris Sims major upright thing. Neither one could ever kill the controversy because they never had consistently were able to play at a high level in order to kill that noise. I hope Quinn does so because I'm ready to move on. And I support whoever the starting quarterback is. I'm on the Quinn bandwagon. I don't know what the hell it's called, Quinanon, whatever. I'm on the Quinn bandwagon right now, and he gives us the best chance to win. I'm hoping for the best for him. All right, Juan, another super chat. Juan, thank you very much. We appreciate you and your kindness. We appreciate that. One more thing, he says here. One more thing. You see the style of QB with Sark, KJ Lacey, Dia Bell, before Bryce Young, mobile quarterbacks that can throw. He knows what he is doing QB wise. Yeah, I mean, I think you got to have a mobile quarterback. Now, I think, we're past the day and age of a quarterback being a statue in the pocket. Those days are done, in my opinion. I mean, there may be exceptions to the rule, but almost every quarterback now has functional mobility. At least be able to move around just a little bit. Hell, even Quinn's got some functional mobility. Now, ours can be a straight-up dual-threat quarterback if you want to. Sark says he does not major in the quarterback run game, and I believe him when he says that, but I do think he wants the added element, the threat of that, because it makes defensive coordinators' life hell. So I do think that's what you'll get, and you may be right about that one, that maybe Sark's realizing the evolution of the position is that I need more mobility at that position, period, just because it's going to give me more options to be creative and innovative with the offense. So I think you're right about that.
It's funny watching how quarterbacks are evaluated now, and we've talked about this in terms of protection at the high school level, with Trey Owens out of this most recent recruiting class. The conversation around him was he didn't have really that offensive line in front of him to protect him. Arch Manning, very much the same. So that internal clock is a little bit more up to speed or accurate, because he's been dealing with that since basically middle school, when he started playing high school football or middle school football with those guys in his district or whatever, right? He understands when pressure's coming. And if you watch his senior tape, he's tremendous at climbing the pocket while keeping his eyes down the field. That was my biggest takeaway with Trey. And what did he showcase during the spring game? Well, he made a great play to evade a pressure, climb the pocket, and he hit a strike over the middle of the field for a touchdown after a catch and run. And that's kind of the same case with Arch Manning. His average offensive lineman in Louisiana kind of looked like me, right? About, I don't know, 6 foot. I'm not going to compare myself to a 6-footer here, but
6 foot.
I'm not 6 foot, but I'm saying
thank you.
They looked in comparison to some Texas high school football players, they probably looked more like me, right? And so what I'm saying is the pressure was more common, and it was often with these guys where they get the idea of how to speed that internal clock up versus Quinn, who he was behind a pretty good offensive line, and that's not Quinn's fault, but it doesn't necessarily give him that internal clock at the next level when you're going up against really another really talented offensive line. There's levels there. It's a teaching course.
Yeah. No, it's a good point. I heard Jerry talk about that too, and how, he likes quarterbacks to evaluate quarterbacks who are from imperfect systems with imperfect rosters around them. Because you get these quarterbacks in these perfect rosters, perfect situation, and they always, they never know how to paint outside the lines or to improvise. Colton says 6 foot. Put that back up there. Put that back up there, Matthew, please. 6 foot on the Tinder profile, CJ. Yeah.
I'm 5'9" and I'm proud.
Hey,
join me in solidarity, Rod.
Trust me. Okay, I'm a short king with you, man. I went to the combine. They told me I wasn't 5'9". I was 5'8" 3/4. Imagine how that hurt my pride, man. I was like, I've been 5'9". They're like, nah, you 5'8" 3/4, young man. I was like, damn. As a man, you want every inch you can get. No, I ain't trying to take no inches from you, man. Come on now. I need them inches.
Tippy toes.
Exactly.
All I would say is functional mobility is in demand right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what Trey Owens has shown, even though he's not the fleetest of foot. He wouldn't beat Quinn Ewers in a foot race. He might have better functional mobility right now than Quinn Ewers in the pocket.
I agree with that. That's a good point.
That's the question, right? And so as we look at Quinn's future, or whoever Texas has at quarterback with KJ Lacey and Dia Bell, KJ Lacey has functional mobility. He's not a out and out runner. He's not very big. I mean, if you want a comparison for KJ Lacey, it's not even Bryce Young, because Bryce Young's faster. It would be more like Dylan Gabriel, in just right-handed. Dia Bell is a different story now. He's a little bit more of a big-time athlete, as well as got a good arm. So he might be the first true dual threat that Sark signs. Like Arch is definitely more of a play action guy, I think. Could be a little bit, but I think Sark looks for guys that can complete passes and be accurate. And the other thing that I've been told is he wants people to be able to catch a pass and keep running. You don't need to just be able to throw it to a spot. He wants you to be able to hit people on the move. That's one of the things, whether it's Trey Owens or whoever, whatever their feet look like, that's what he wants.
Yeah, he calls it his run to daylight philosophy. He said we always looking to run the daylight with our wide receivers, and so he needs the quarterbacks to hit him on the run, hit him like on the move, yak opportunities so they can run to daylight. That's why he likes speed. He's like, what's the point of getting all this damn speed if I'm not gonna get them the ball on the move while they are already at full speed, so they can separate from defenders and do that as well when they're ball carriers. So it makes sense, and you're right about that. It's a big thing with Sark, man. That yak opportunities. How about this one? Jay Medina at UT19. Thank you for the super chat. First super chat here for CJ's post college football Saturday 6th Street Fun. Thank you guys for all the amazing Longhorn
content. It's going to be the Broadway Street Fun this weekend. Am I right? Come on.
Yeah, CJ. When you headed to Nashville Friday? You headed up there Friday?
Friday morning. So I'm excited for it. Never been to Nashville. Jay Medina, thank you for the super chat. I've never been to Nashville, so I got to get the tour from Bobby. I got to see what's cool. I got to go out to, what is it, Nissan Stadium or whatever, where the Titans play. Let's see it all. I'm ready for it. Maybe even go fish out the goalposts,
yeah, there you go.
Oh, man, CJ out in the town. Y'all just make sure CJ is ready for work the next day on Saturday, because they don't tell him what he's getting into on Friday. It's going to be wild.
That is
always ready for work, Rob.
That's true. CJ never misses work. I would say that CJ, he stays out all night and parties, but he never misses work. He's a hardworking man. Nashville ain't ready. I agree. Jenny, she knows. She knows. Nashville ain't ready for CJ. We love when the wifey's joy. We love that. That's great. All right, let's hit the next super chat here. Thank you very much. Texas Boy says, can Sark's reputation afford Ewers to fail? Is that the reason he continues to start? It's interesting. Can Sark's reputation afford Ewers to fail? Is that the reason he continues to start? I think he's starting because I believe Sark. I think Sark believes he gives him the best chance to win. Now, do I think there's something lingering potentially from maybe the injury? Potentially, there is something there. Yeah, I think something could still be there. I've been looking at some of these deep throws that are coming up a little short. So I wouldn't doubt that maybe something is lingering there from it. Maybe that's more mental, than physiological. Not really sure. But you just got to trust. You got to trust Sark when it comes to QBs. I wouldn't question the man when it comes to quarterbacks. I question Sark on some stuff. I do. You guys know I do. I won't question the man on QB. Man played QB. Man's got a resume that's as impressive as anybody other than Lincoln Riley in college when it comes to quarterback development. I'll trust the man on the quarterbacks. He says Quinn's the guy, and he made the move to Arch because he didn't like what he saw from Quinn in that big game. So I have no doubt that if he don't like what he's seeing from Quinn and he doesn't think Quinn can remedy the issues, rectify them, he's gonna sit him down. So I do actually trust in Sark that he will make that decision if need be. And I don't think we're there yet. I don't think we're there yet either, and I don't think Sark does.
Yeah. Also, in the sense of the entire playbook, it's more open with Quinn, as you would expect. A third-year guy in the system. The pre-snap motions, Rod, we've talked about in the past. That's obviously a big part of this offense with Quinn. And his full starts, right? They've averaged 70%, 69%, 67%, and 60%. With Arch, it's gone 42 and 49. Yep. So that tells you exactly where Sark is with the familiarity with Quinn as the quarterback and the timing and the play calling. Of course, Quinn has to execute that now. That's the other thing. But you can tell with the motions and the pre-snap looks, reads, play calls, they're more open to creativity right now with Quinn.
Agreed.
I agree. That may be holding him back. It's not Sark and he's worried about this or that right now. And I do think we discussed it today on State of the Program, CJ, you and Jerry and I. I don't think Quinn has this ultra long leash. I mean, I don't think that he's going to play this whole game and play poorly. I mean, Sark will take him out.
Yep.
There's no doubt in my mind. I mean, it's time for Quinn to produce.
Yeah.
That's the way it'll be, in my opinion.
Yep. I agree 100%.
All right. Hey, I want to say thank you to one of our sponsors, if you guys don't mind. That's Carrot Concierge. Are you looking for the right gift for the woman in your life? Make sure you check out thecarrotconcierge.com. Jody Reynolds is a personal jeweler. She is the Carrot Concierge. With an office right there in Westlake, Jody focuses on helping men purchase the special gift for the woman in your life. You can use the QR code on the screen to see even more, or visit her on Instagram or her website, thecarrotconcierge.com as well. Jody prides herself in providing personal service. She takes the extra steps to make sure your lady gets exactly what she wants. And because she doesn't have the overhead of a storefront, she often can get higher quality inventory at lower prices, as much as 30% less than what you'd see at a jewelry store. If you're looking for something special for birthday, anniversary, and with Christmas right around the corner, Jody has a variety of tennis bracelets, rings, necklaces, and more. All beautiful jewelry, all personalized for you and yours. Check out thecaratconcierge.com, visit her website, or give her a call and text and take care of that special someone in your life.
All right, thank you, Bobby. We appreciate that message, and we also appreciate thecaratconcierge.com. All right, let's hit another super chat here. Thank you very much to Jarrett Fortner. Thank you for the super chat, fellas. I'm from Heltonville, Indiana, 30 minutes south of Hoosiers campus. My wife bought me tickets. This will be my first Horns game. We'll make sure to find our way to y'all. Hook 'em. Thank you very much,
Let's go, Jarrett.
And I mean, I don't know if anybody outside of actually an Indiana fan, an actual Indiana fan, a Hoosier, has been rooting for Indiana football as much as CJ. CJ Bo's been talking about Indiana since week 2, and how they look pretty good. And now I'll give CJ some props. He saw it coming. Nobody else really saw that Indiana thing coming. CJ, I'll give you some props, man. So there you go. We've been talking some Indiana football on this show only because CJ insists.
They're free money every week.
Hey, by the way, for the game on that Saturday, we'll be at a place called The Local in Nashville from about 11 o'clock on. It's literally about 250 to 300 yards to the stadium. So all you have to do is get an Uber. If you're staying downtown, get an Uber to The Local. It is first come, first serve. We don't have this massive area lined out just for us or anything like that. But they have $30 buckets of beer. I talked to the owner yesterday and got everything squared away. Wings, nachos. They got the whole bar food thing. Got several TVs around the place. It's got an indoor-outdoor area. The weather should be nice. And that opens at 11 o'clock. I'll be over there around 10:30, 11 o'clock myself, as well as several other people that I know. Join us if you're coming in from that game from Heltonville, Indiana, or wherever you're coming from.
Nice. Bobby, you just answered the next question I was getting to. Nashville, Quincy. Okay. They just keep coming. Hey, you know what?
Is in his bag right now.
Yeah. Hey, the Quinn support. We need that Quinn love on the show. I'm liking that. But Marky wanted to know, said, hey, Bobby, I'm coming up to Nashville from Alabama this weekend. Any information as far as the tailgating? Well, Bobby just let you know. The Local. That's where you need to head, Mark. Head to The Local. And then my man Bobby will be there. And you can find yourself around some friendly confines with some Longhorn fans there. All right, let's get back to the questions here. How about this one from Michael Paul? Thank you, Michael Paul, for the question. It says, why don't we bait the defense to jump some of our short routes and hit the deep route? But there is a belief, and I brought this up. I was talking to you, CJ, about this, that if I was Vanderbilt, maybe I would be overly aggressive with some of the short, intermediate, underneath throws for Texas and just give them the deep ball. If they complete one on us, okay, you know what? It's Texas. I mean, it's likely they was going to get that done anyway at one point. All right. But we actually, if we're Vanderbilt, we stand a better chance of being in the game by taking Quinn out of his rhythm by taking away the short, quick stuff. All right, and being really aggressive on the screen game and the short, quick game to the wide receivers, taking away the yak opportunities, and then seeing if Texas, if there is something limited with Quinn, seeing if they can beat you over the top. And if you guess right and they can't, oh man, you just found out that you might have stumbled upon the perfect game plan, which is Texas can't throw more than 30 yards downfield. All you got to defend is everything underneath that. Michael wants to know that so if that is the game plan, can Texas take advantage of an overly aggressive defensive mentality or game plan and take some shots down the field on Vandy? CJ, you said they're vulnerable in the pass game. They don't have great pass defense. It's not elite.
No, it's not elite. And again, Texas should be able to find areas open over the middle of the field in their passing game. They had middle of the field open at times against Georgia. Obviously the two big completions for Quinn in this game, aside from the deep ball to Golden, were over the middle of the field in the third quarter. to start that second half drive. The big play, 24 yards to Matthew Golden there, was right over the middle of the field. There's another instance in which Arch ended up throwing kind of a clear out route when he had the middle of the field open on a 3rd and 5 as well. So it was there. Your quarterbacks just got to hit it. They got to see it. To the question, though, why don't we bait some of the short routes, right? Some of that is double moves. George actually did a great job with the pump and go on the quick missile screen that went for 24 yards, 25 yards in the first half. That was really one of the few ways that they were able to move the ball through the air. Texas had that. They had a double move to DeAndre Moore, a little 10-yard hitch and go, and Quinn just opted to not throw it. I don't know what he saw. It was a single high. They had a cover 2 look. The safety to the side that DeAndre Moore was at already spun down after the snap. The double move was there. It would have been open to the field, probably about 30 yards of room to throw the football before that safety was there. I don't know why he didn't go that way. He ended up checking down, but that's how you bait right there, is double moves, hitches and goes, pump fakes and goes, whatever it is. Texas has shown that a little bit. Remember that big play in the Big 12 championship game a year ago to A.D. Mitchell was a comeback and go. There's, instances of that in Sark's bag. We just don't see it that much. And again, I think a little bit of that is, does Quinn allow himself time to let that route develop and get down the field for it to be a completion? I don't know. A lot of variables right now.
Yeah, I thought Matthew Golden had a double move too. They threw in there. Texas, I don't think Texas' most successful double move is their stock block and go.
Yeah,
and that's actually what Georgia did on you. But the stock block and go off the screen, it has been money. Wingo has scored on it one time. DeAndre Moore, remember he didn't score on it, but he got down to the one that stock block and go. That was a really good play. They executed perfectly. So that would be another way to make them pay. But I agree with CJ on that. Double moves is probably the best way to go about it. But you need some time. And can Quinn throw it accurately down the field and not underthrow some of those balls? That'll be the question versus Vanderbilt too. All right, good stuff there, CJ. Trevor, thank you for the super chat, Trevor Bell. We appreciate you. Rod, do you think there will be a spy on Pavia? If so, do you think it'll be Hill or someone else? Pavia has extended a lot of plays with his legs. There's no doubt. Now the question is, can you get him in a predictable passing situation? Therefore, you already know you got a spy, right? You know they're going to drop back, easy to have a game plan where you're going to have a spy there. So I think you will. If you can get them in a predictable passing situation, a 3rd and medium, 3rd and long, that's what you want to do. Now, they'll still, on 3rd and medium, they'll still run it. Because sometimes they'll be in 4-down territory. But I'm with you. Pavia, he's the straw that stirs the drink. I'll give you a great Pavia stat. They're great on 3rd and 4th down. They really are. They're top 10 3rd down offense, top 15 4th down offense. But it's really Pavia. It's all about him. His pro football focus grade on 3rd and 4th down is a 90.2. His passing grade on 3rd and 4th down is 85.6. He becomes a Superman on 3rd and 4th down for them. And by the way, a lot of it is great scheming. It's a really unconventional offense. So they have a lot of kind of obtuse, unorthodox concepts that they combine. But he can tell his comfort in this system too. We don't talk about it enough, but the fact he's a 3rd-year starter in this system, because they brought the same system from New Mexico State. They brought very similar system and the same play caller. So he's comfortable in this offense, man. And what you need to watch is how he is money on money downs. He is money on money downs. And so, yes, I would have a spy on him, but the key to the spy is I need to know they're going to throw it, to throw the spy out there. Otherwise, we're playing with gap integrity. We're playing the run. We're overly aggressively playing the run because that's the bread and butter of this Vanderbilt offense.
Yeah, and Rod, you hit it right. You want to have that base look. If they're going to run the ball and stick to what they believe in, do it against guys that are bigger, faster, stronger. And that's what we believe that Texas front line and linebackers to be at the moment, right, over this Vanderbilt line. They had success against Alabama, of course, and that's not something to take lightly, right? It is still Vanderbilt. It still is Alabama. Now, they've taken steps towards being more of that middle-of-the-pack team in the SEC talent-wise. Still got some holes in that roster right now. And on that offensive line, that Texas front defensive line needs to come ready to play and get active behind the line of scrimmage, because Vanderbilt doesn't lose a lot of yards on snaps.
Yep.
Hey, I got to say this, just so you know, that the offensive coordinator for Vanderbilt is a guy named Tim Beck. Now, that's not the same Tim Beck that was the former offensive coordinator at the University of Texas under Tom Herman. This Tim Beck was a longtime D2 head coach at Pittsburgh State in Kansas. where they won a national title in D2.
The Gorillas?
Yeah, he spent the last 2 years at New Mexico State as the offensive coordinator there. So Pavia and him have worked together, like Rod said, for a couple of years now. This guy he could end up with a head coaching job after this year. He's got a lot of skill in how he calls a game. So you'll see that because, Rod, you mentioned it. Those numbers aren't all Pavia. I mean, let's be clear. He may be a really good player. Those are some great schemes from your coaches. When you're 51% as a team on third down, your coaching staff's doing a hell of a job.
Definitely.
And right now they're 51% on third downs. That's an amazing stat for a bottom tier before this year Vanderbilt team. So his name is Tim Beck, and I bet he gets some head coaching opportunities this year.
Good call, Bobby.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And I'll give Clark Lee a lot of credit, man. I've seen some, poaching obviously is nothing new in college football, especially with the transfer portal, and even coaches bringing players with it is nothing new. But he did seem to bring the nucleus of that New Mexico State. I mean, they were 10-5 that last year. Offensive player of the year was Diego Pavia. There was something special going on with New Mexico State then. Jerry Kill's head coach, and Clark Lee was able to base his sales pitch, convinced a lot of them to just bring the whole thing over with the QB, tight end, OC, quarterback coach. They brought it all over there. And at the highest level of play in the SEC, it translated. I'll give Clark Lee a lot of credit, man. That was a gamble, and it was an experiment, but right now it is paying huge dividends for him. Tito right here with the super chat. Thank you, Tito. Appreciate you. Says, do you think that pulling Quinn was Sark's way of sending the team a message that, quote, I don't care who you are, you will play to the standard or else?
I don't know that it was his way, Rod. Right? I just think he just wanted to win.
I feel like he's done that before.
I don't think people are talking about ulterior motives here.
Yeah.
Quinn stunk it up for a quarter and a half, dude.
Wasn't great.
I mean, no. Football's a meritocracy. If he were a corner and he had been scorched 4 times, his butt would be on the bench. Well, Quinn's butt went to the bench. Now, doesn't mean you don't go back to the corner in the second half. After he has a chance. So I think people, and I'm not mad. I'm just saying people ascribing ulterior motives. I think it's as simple as Quinn sucked it up. Arch, he thought, might be able to provide a spark. When that spark didn't catch fire, he went back to Quinn. That's as simple as that.
Yeah. I mean, it was the worst game. If you look at Pro Football Focus grades, it was the worst game Quinn has played at Texas.
Worse than Oklahoma State 2 years ago.
Yeah, worse than Oklahoma State. I mean, in terms of turnover-worthy plays, I mean, and I think it matches the eye test. It was bad. So, I mean, Sark was totally justified with, okay, he's melting down. I don't know when I can stop the downward spiral. Let me put Archie in just to see if I can go stop this from spiraling out of control. I think that's what Sark did. And Sark's a quarterback, so he knows. I think Sark looked at him in his eyes and was like, dude, you need to sit for a while. I don't think you're ready right now for the moment, and that's okay. Jose says, word is Pavia's injured. Any legitimacy to that? Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that.
Yeah, Matt, do you mind showing the injury report one more time, bud? Matt, our producer, I'm talking to him behind the scenes here. He wasn't listed on the Vanderbilt injury report, right, CJ?
Right. Mm-hmm. I have no reason to believe that he's injured or dinged up. I mean, again, injury report, it's kind of one of those, scouts honor deals, but that's something that we've not yet seen so far.
There was a talk that he took like a knee injury or something against Kentucky when they played Kentucky or something like that. But he only missed like one play and then he returned to the game. So there was some speculation about that, but he is not on this injury report. And I don't know if there's been much talk that I've seen that he is injured.
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough kid. Let's not forget he's about 5'10", but he was an all-state wrestler in high school at the quarterback position, right? That doesn't you don't see the 2 and 2 go hand in hand all that much, but tough kid. I would be shocked if he didn't play in this game. And if he's dinged out, he's going to tough that out because that's just kind of the gamer that he is.
No, my favorite Diego Pavia story is the one last year about him going to the New Mexico practice facility at night to urinate on their logo in midfield of their practice facility because he was just like, that's our rival, and I don't like them. And then when somebody actually got video of him urinating at midfield of their practice, by the way, it's an indoor practice facility, so he had to trespass, go indoors to do it. And they got him on video and put the video on the news, on the local news, a news story about it. And he was seen there grinning and laughing because he had no shame at all. He did not cower. He didn't run away. He's like, nah, man, I'm sitting there and I'm urinating on their midfield logo. And he gave a middle finger to another logo. Like, this dude, he's got some dog in him, man. Y'all remember that interview he had after they beat Bama? Remember, within 10 seconds, guys, go watch the interview. He's thanking God. He's basically saying, God put me here. This is God's plan. And everyone's like, man, that's really powerful. And then literally like 8 seconds later, he's like, we effing turnt. Like, he just drops an F-bomb. Like, he's God. He's a likes to fight guy playing quarterbacks. Basically, I'd like to describe. Everybody knows a likes to fight guy. In your friendship circle, maybe you played with a likes to fight guy. You gotta watch him when you go out. It's like, man, you gonna end up in a fight. You do every time we go out. He's that guy, but playing quarterback. Usually those guys play running back and D-line. They don't play quarterback. He's a likes to fight guy playing quarterback. He's got some dog in him. Got some dog in him. Yeah. All right. There you go. My
the guy that liked to do that. He'd go out. He wanted to fight. Like,
yeah.
I just stopped going out with him. I don't want to.
I agree. Like, no, I'm not going out with you, dude. I don't want to go to jail, so I'm not going out with you tonight. Then I'm a bad friend if I don't fight with you. All right, Lane with the super chat. He says, when Pavia runs, does he prefer the edge or running up the middle? They run. CJ, you've watched them. They got a lot of quarterback design runs, man. It's all over the place.
Yeah, definitely. Matthew,
right?
Thanks for pulling that up. That's actually I was about to reference. You see about 163 yards out of scrambles. The other thing that's worth mentioning here is when he does get loose, more so off the edge, this is a guy that breaks a lot of tackles. He has 22 forced missed tackles so far this year. That's 8 more than Jaden Blue. That's almost 10 more than Trey Wisner. And these are guys that, again, have more rushing attempts or at least, more opportunities in between the tackles where arm tackles are prevalent. In space, this guy is certainly one guy that you are not going to want to rely on arm tacklings with. That number's a bit inflated. They added the true scramble yardages to the total. So he's about 420 yards rushing, I believe, on the season. He leads the team in rushing yards, but 163 of those on 22 attempts on true quarterback dropback scrambles. That's where containment is so key for the Longhorns this weekend.
Yep. And the scramble drill. He throws on the run pretty damn good.
Yeah.
So scramble drill, eye discipline is going to be big in this matchup. Good stuff there, CJ. Thank you, Matthew. Good stuff as well. Let me thank our sponsor, Home Field, as before we move on here and we're getting close to the end of our live stream. Folks, trust me, you want to go check out homefieldapparel.com. They got some great gear over there. They have a wide range of available colleges, 180 plus actually, and growing. And you can't go wrong with their football boxes. It contains 3 never before seen items unavailable anywhere else. You can only get them with homefieldapparel.com. Platinum Box VIPs will receive additional exclusive items, including a new hat or ringer for Platinum VIPs only. The 2024 Platinum Pass will guarantee you 20% off and early access to a lot of their new releases. And you can check out homefieldapparel.com and you'll get 15% off when you use the code Texas24. That's our own code. So use the code Texas24 for 15% off. The convenience of online shopping has never been better. Check out their vintage designs at homefieldapparel.com and use the code Texas24 and you'll get 15% off. Thank you very much to Home Field Apparel for sponsoring our Wednesday night live stream. All right, let's continue with some of the questions here. How about this one from William? He says, who we pulling for this Saturday, LSU or A&M? That is a good question. It's a big game, huge game, actually. Aggies and LSU are the only 2 teams currently that control their own fate right now, as it relates to the SEC title. Gentlemen, how are we feeling about this? Are we back in the Aggies or back in, I guess I shouldn't ask it like that. Nobody's back in the Aggies. But who do you think is going to win the game?
Bobby?
I'm pulling for LSU, and I think LSU wins. I don't think I've ever pulled for A&M in anything ever, and not going to start now. As far as who I think wins, I think that here's the reality of it. I think that Nussmeier right now is on a little bit of a roll with their offense.
Yeah.
We talk about playing in a dirty pocket and being able to make plays outside of the pocket. He's doing that right now for them at a higher level than Connor Wigman can. Connor Wigman's problem is a lot like Quinn Ewers. Pocket gets dirty around him, and he doesn't become a good quarterback. That's what has happened to Connor Wigman time and time again during his career. You get pressure, tough times. He doesn't have any pressure. He can pick you apart. And so my take on it is Nussmeier more ready for prime time. I will say this: A&M against LSU. That's going to be a big time game. Never know which way the ball is going to bounce. A&M does have a really good front on defense. They can actually make some opportunistic plays, but I think at the end of the day, LSU may just have too much. The only thing that I could say is if A&M can run the ball, then I don't think they're going to be able to run as well as they have, but I might circle back on that if they can.
To me, it's going to be interesting to your point about running the football. Can they also create pressure on Connor Wigman, LSU? You're missing Harold Perkins. You got a star defensive tackle out for the year. This is a game in which, we're in week 9 right now. That depth is being tested everywhere. And we're seeing it with Texas, right? Running back dinged up, safeties dinged up. At LSU, their front 7 is very dinged up. And that's unfortunate for their long-term outlook because, again, I think they're in a good spot to run the table with their schedule. Their big games are at home. They still have Oklahoma on the schedule, which doesn't look as difficult as it did prior to the season either. So I like the home team in this game. I think that's just something that carries a lot of weight in a big rivalry game. And I say rivalry kind of loosely because I don't think LSU and A&M is a rivalry, even though they've tried to force that on rivalry week this year, the last 10 years or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you, Bobby. I think Nussmeier is one of the best quarterbacks in the entire SEC. LSU surprised me a good bit this year, but still, I think playing at home, having that energy, it's going to mean something. I kind of like A&M in this game. Who does it, kind of benefit more for Texas to win? I don't know if it matters. I don't know. I haven't done the math yet. I think it's still too wide open with 7 teams, quote unquote, alive for the SEC championship game. Ask me in about 2 weeks what's going to start mattering for these interconference games that don't yet include Texas.
Yeah. I know. I feel like every time I pick the Aggies, they make me look bad. So this time I'm going to do it. I'm going to pick the Aggies, and hopefully they make me look bad and lose. Because every time I pick the Aggies, they lose. So reverse psychology here.
I applaud that. Way to go.
Yeah. So
I see the logic and I applaud it.
Yeah. So like I said, I don't care about being wrong. Aggies lose. That's all good. How about this one from Todd Lacey? Thank you for the super chat, Todd. We appreciate you. Good to see you here on the on Texas Football live chat. He says, does Jerry Kill have a direct impact on Vandy's success? He's an offensive consultant, I believe. Yeah, Jerry Kill is well respected in the coaching community. I think it's pretty cool that I believe he finds Tim Beck when he's at TCU as a consultant, right, Bobby? That's when because I believe you talking about how Tim Beck was at Pittsburgh State before that. He was they were both consultants or somewhere. Maybe Jerry Kill was like the interim head coach there, but a consultant, and that's where they linked up. And then Jerry Kill, when he got his gig in Mississippi State, he's like, nah, Tim, you come with me, man. You are a wealth of knowledge. So one thing about Jerry Kill, he seems to be able to recognize coaching talent. That's for damn sure. And Clark Lee recognized that because he took basically a lot of the staff with him. Jerry Kill. And Jerry Kill's been around a long time.
Yeah, he once he was head coach at Minnesota, pretty successful one. And I think he had a seizure on the sideline once.
Yeah,
twice.
Yes, he did. Mm-hmm.
And ended up taking a year away from football. I believe that's what led them to the hiring of the row the boat guy. What's his name? PJ Fleck.
Yep.
But Kill was a longtime guy in the MAC at Northern Illinois. before taking the job at Minnesota. He knows run heavy, run first type successful offenses. And I think this guy, Tim Beck, has been really good, has been really, really good running the football.
Yeah, that's a good point there. And Joey here, Joey Garrett. Thank you, Joey. We appreciate the super chat. Says, does the Georgia loss remind us that we're human and can't just walk through a win anymore? Did we mentally with that loss? Horns up always. Did we win mentally with that loss? Excuse me. Thank you for the super chat, Joey. Did we win mentally with that loss? You know what? You can make the argument that it came at the perfect time for Texas. I think most of us, at the beginning of the season, predicted Texas would lose to Georgia. Then we re-predicted, and everybody was high on the hog on Texas, and I predicted Texas to beat Georgia. But you could argue at the perfect time. I love that Michael Taft quote. Taft Daddy said, I'm sure it came from Sark, because I heard multiple guys reference this. Hey, you rather get knocked down in the 6th than get knocked out in the 12th. Yep. And that's how they're looking at it. Like, hey, now you got knocked down. It's all right. You up, man. Standing 8 count. You're good. All right. Check your gloves. You're ready to go. All right. Time to get back to the fight. So I see the guys are looking at it that it's a minor setback for the major comeback. And I think that's the right attitude with this group. This group, they're special. They got some very special qualities as a team. But there is nobody that's going to go through unscathed throughout a season, man. Adversity pops up in all types of different ways. And for this team, this is their first real test of adversity. I cannot wait to see how they respond. Can't wait. Yeah, that's the true mark of the team. Can't wait.
Yeah, maybe it is a tale of Icarus with Texas coming in this game. And who knows, right? You know, it could be one of those things where a little humbling, or at least a look in the mirror and say, all right, everything's on you now, is good for them. Because, again, they don't have that buffer. They don't have that safety net anymore of having a loss to give. That's gone now. You have your loss to give. It's out of the way. To make it to where you want to be, it's basically on you to win out, control your own destiny, and see where the chips lie at the end of the day.
Love it.
The tale of Icarus.
There we go. CJ.
I want to say this. We don't know yet. We don't know yet whether that Quincarus. There we go. What I want to say is we don't know yet whether or not Texas won mentally with that loss. No. We'll find out this weekend if they may have. Because oftentimes when you get knocked down in the 6th, yeah, sure, you come back to not get knocked down in the 12th, but sometimes you get knocked out in the 7th.
Yeah. You're right.
That's true. I mean, I'm serious now.
You're right.
If you show a propensity to get knocked down, that's not necessarily good. Right? So, yeah. Look, I think to your point, though, guys, I think they need to come back, and they can't let this be Houston of last year, where one loss almost becomes 2.
Yep.
And that's what they did last year. I mean, it was an uninspired effort. They thought they could just roll into Houston and beat them up. And if they think they can roll into Nashville and beat up a team that scored 40 on Alabama, they're wrong.
Yep.
If they go in there and execute, and I swear this is the word that look for drop passes, look for missed blocks, look for bad third down throws or play calls, look for false start penalties that take it from 3rd and 1 to 3rd and 6 or 2nd and 10 to 2nd and 15.
Yep.
Those execute. If Texas executes, they should be fine. And they executed it early in the season against Michigan. And I'm not sure we've seen that team since.
I agree.
So we don't know if it's a mental win yet. Maybe it's a recalibration of expectations, but they need to get back to executing at a high level. We have not seen that since Michigan. Maybe you saw it against Louisiana Monroe. I mean, I don't.
That's a good point, Bobby. You're right about that, man. I totally agree. That's the standard we talk about, right? How often have they played to the standard? Maybe Michigan game was the last time we saw them play to that standard. Maybe ULM, but you're right. That's a really good point there. We don't know. We'll find out on Saturday if this team won with that with that loss to Georgia. If they won mentally with that loss to Georgia. Johnny says on Texas football, who's your breakout player on offense versus Vandy? I got Golden with 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. I will say this: Golden actually led them in receiving versus Georgia. So I'm very close to my prediction at the beginning of the season that you will have, for at least half the games, you're going to have a different leading receiver. I believe we got 5 different leading receivers so far this season. We got Helm, Wingo, Bond, Moore, and Golden already in your first 7 games. You already got 5. There's no way we've ever done that in Texas football history, Bobby. That's never happened before. There's no way that's happened before. You ain't been that deep at any position to have that many weapons at your disposal. So, what do you guys think? Who's your breakout player on offense versus Vandy?
I think Matthew Golden's a safe one, right? I think the status of Isaiah Bond might be up in the air in terms of what he's able to give you, how much he's able to give you. Ryan Wingo, certainly a safe pick there. I keep saying I want to see Silas Bolden out there. I keep saying it. And we've gotten close to seeing the big play from him, right? Some of those returns feel like they're going to squeak loose. And the offense, if Texas is trying to find ways to get extended handoffs or at least in the space for a guy to get loose, he's the guy that I look to do just that. If Bond is limited, could he be an option? I hope so. If not, Wingo, Golden, probably the safer picks. They're square, I understand. But if I had to go crazy, it would be Silas Bolden for me. I feel like he's kind of that kind of gadgety, X factor that Texas could rely out there, with DeAndre Moore, Matthew Golden blocking for him in space.
Here's a good question from – sorry, go ahead, Bobby.
I'm going to go with Jaden Blue. I don't know why. Something about how he matches up with Vanderbilt in space. Maybe because Vanderbilt Texas should have a speed advantage against Vanderbilt. And nobody has more speed and will get the ball in their hands more times than Jaden Blue. So I'm going to go with Jaden Blue.
He loves
that would be huge, Bobby.
Yeah.
It would be huge.
Yeah, it would, because he's been inconsistent at best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he got 7 receptions. Yeah.
Jaden Blue was executing at a high level early in the season, right?
Yeah, he was, man. I agree. He was like the catalyst of the offense at one point. I want to say at one point he was your lead, led you in rush attempts, was second in targets on the team. And now, since you're right, that inconsistency has really plagued them lately. Good stuff there. How about this question from Jeff? I like this question. What is the reason behind our special teams not being as good as they have been? Is it losing our 2 top gunners or Joe DeCamillis moving on? Interesting. The special team does not make the impact plays they made last year. Jeff Banks has been probably the most consistent coordinator and on the 40 acres. That includes Sark is calling the offensive plays and PK calling defensive plays. What's up this year, guys, in your opinion? Why haven't we seen the benefits of special teams?
Not having that X factor punter has been big.
Yeah.
That's really where I start to lean.
My biggest wonder that I think Texas is still ripe to get a return punt on them, partially because of the punter. Whether it's Ratliff or Kern, neither one of them have really stood out, in my opinion, as particularly good. And now Kern obviously is a freshman, so that there's some level there. Ratliff was a walk-on for a reason at some level, right? But the Gunners are not anywhere close to what they were a year ago. Warren Roberson is not a reasonable facsimile of Keaton Crawford at Gunner. He's just not. And Keelan Robinson, as good as he was, I'm worried about that kind of stuff. I think that they will get a punt returned on them this year if they keep punting it low, and the Gunners just aren't as good. They're just not as good. Now, overall team speed's better, so I can feel that a little bit, but you're tempting fate. You're tempting fate too often, in my opinion.
Do you think a little bit on that on the Gunners is just youth? You have Warren Roberson, you have DeAndre Moore, Gavin Holmes, I think, gets out there at sometimes. He doesn't have a lot of experience, but last year you had, Keaton Crawford, you had Keelan Robinson, 2 guys that had been on the field.
Those 2 are fast, but Robinson and Crawford in a 40 are faster than the 3 guys you mentioned, except for Gavin Holmes, who doesn't have the to be a good gunner. And I asked Rod this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You got to have a never say die attitude. You got to get knocked 3 yards out of bounds and then try to come back in, sometimes. Mm-hmm. And you need either long arms or a strong chest and lower body at some level to be able to lean on a guy and still run.
Power through, yeah, to be still able to sprint through.
And that's not Gavin Holmes. He doesn't have that kind of body.
Yeah.
And Warren Roberson's not as fast. And so DeAndre Moore, not as fast as Keaton Crawford or Keelan Robinson in a 40.
Yeah.
They don't have. So I don't know. I mean, I think that they had maybe two of the best gunners in the country last year.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Spoiled.
Yeah, spoiled is an issue, along with a better punter. To your point, CJ.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Got a couple of these before. I know we're getting close to the end here, so I'll just kind of power through some of these. Lando said, "This is the most excited I've been for a game all year." Going to answer a lot of questions. Lando, you're right about that. Bobby just broke that down.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a heavy wager on it, it seems like.
Considering where it is, I don't know if he's talking about just because it was we all assumed we all predicted at the beginning of the season they were going to lose to Georgia, or because it's right after the first loss of the season. But it isn't a really good spot. And you're at your low pretty much of the season so far because you haven't had a loss. They're riding one of the highs of the history of the program. They haven't been this high in like a decade. 5-2, best record through 7 games since 2008. So it just said where the programs are, and this is a gritty team. They're gritty. Like they want to play ugly. They want to get into a kind of a bare knuckle brawl with you. And we'll see if Texas wants to get in a fight with them. I kind of like the fact that they're going to play you as almost how a military academy would play you. Disciplined. They're going to punch you in the mouth. I feel what Lando's saying there. I got you, Lando. I'm with you. I'm not sure. I'm not as excited as you are, but I do understand why you like this matchup so much.
It's
all right.
going to answer a lot of questions.
Yes, exactly. And how
I'm not that excited, but it is going to answer a lot of questions.
How they respond to adversity is really what I want to see, especially coming out. How's the start to it? Because as CJ's pointed out, Texas hadn't been starting really good this year. Really hadn't started great for the last 2 years, really. All right, let's take one of our last sponsor of the evening before we get done with our Wednesday night live stream. Andy Ludicky and his fantastic team. If you're looking to diversify, you may be someone like me that has their hands in multiple businesses. Well, Andy can help you diversify by finding you businesses that will fit your time allotment and your financial goals. If you're stuck in the corporate rat race, you only got 2 weeks PTO and no control over the money you make or your schedule in general, you need to call Andy because he will take you through a process that will help you find a business that will fit your skill sets and your financial goals. We know that franchise ownership isn't for everyone, but if you have a desire to take control of your financial destiny, well, you need to reach out to Andy Ludicky today at andy@myperfectfranchise.net or give him a call, 404-973-9901. And thank you very much to Andy Ludicky and his team for sponsoring our Wednesday night live stream. All right, I just got a couple of questions. I'll throw these out there. How about this one? As from Emmanuel. Says there's such thing as too much adjusting to what the defense shows Texas. What if the fix is not to adjust at times since they may be disguising their true coverage? I would say you're going to get a lot more disguise. Coach Shipley talked about this a little bit too. I wonder how often Texas comes into a game, at least early on in a game plan, with multiple options, like multiple plays. They call them kill plays. You come into, you got a run play, you got a pass play. You come up to the line of scrimmage. If the defense is taking away the pass, they're taking away the run, then you can kill the other option and go with the one the defense obviously looks like they can be most exposed with in terms of the run or the pass. I'm not sure how often that happens. Sark's probably already doing stuff like that. But I do think that may be something, Emmanuel, kind of what you're talking about where, the offense isn't necessarily dictated by the defense's disguise and their coverages. But if you're talking about the Georgia game, you just got to give Kirby Smart a lot of credit. That was a masterclass in disguise and in pre-snap shell looks and everything pre-snap being different than what the quarterback's going to process and decipher post-snap. That was a lot of that I watched. And I think, if anything, Vanderbilt can't do what Georgia did because they don't have the athletes. But they could take some of that. They could take some of the pre-snap manipulation and try to use that against Quinn. That's one thing to watch for Vandy early. Is Vandy moving around a lot because they don't move a ton on defense. They have some movement, but they're moving more. You see them moving and doing pre-snap shell disguise. Every snap early on is probably because they took a lesson from that Georgia game for Texas.
I think they're gonna play a lot. I think you'll see some 3 high this weekend, guys.
Oh, Yeah. Hey, they were at TCU when Texas was dealing with that 3-high problem in the Big 12. So they know. They know all about it. Good point there, Bobby. Good stuff. All right. We couldn't answer all the questions, guys. Try to get as many of them as we can. But if you got any other extra questions, remember, throw that to the Coffee and Football crew at 8 a.m. They'll be back live right here on the On Texas Football channel. And tomorrow we'll also be back with the Winning Drive with Coach Shipley and my man CJ Vogel around 3:15. We'll have the Winning Drive on Thursday as well. And if anything breaks, of course, keep it locked in to ontexasfootball.com or here at the On Texas Football YouTube channel. Thank you very much to our sponsors. Thank you to Andy Ludicky and his team. Really appreciate him as well. Thank you to homefieldapparel.com for sponsoring our Winning Drive. Sponsoring the Wednesday night live stream. Also, thank you to thecarrotconcierge.com. We appreciate her and all of her support. You should go check it out, guys. Thecarrotconcierge.com. Yeah, Christmas coming up. Don't be caught off guard and don't procrastinate. No, a lot of y'all love to do that. All right, for Bobby Burton, the legend, and for my man CJ Vogel, the prodigy, and for Matthew behind the scenes, the real MVP. Thank you guys for watching and for participating. And until next time, hook 'em horns.
Hook 'em.